right.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's the best.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Mr. Jones, like the Jones also said, from Orange County, West Coast Sumo Club, and pretty new at this, but I really enjoy sumo wrestling.
Nice. The big thing of this is why, right? Why did you start participating in sumo?
That's a good question. I think what it came down to, I played Division I college ball and ended up, after I was done with football, very few times in life you get to be physical again or find camaraderie. And I gave a lot to work and things like that, but there was a void missing. And I ended up going to like my first US Sumo Open event a couple of years back, and I was like, oh, this looks like so much fun. And I saw everybody down there. You guys were all friends,
Yes.
and I was like, this seems like a fun community.
What year was it?
2022.
Wow, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty recent, and I was just like, I want that back. I've been seeking that. I work in the art world and stuff like that, so it's not a lot of physical, big, challenges happening in that regard. So it was one of those things for me. I was like, might be nice to get back in there.
Speaking of art, you started a new club.
I did, yes.
And your art direction is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Your website's dope.
Thank
you. Your logo is amazing.
Appreciate
it's all super, super dope. And it hit me in a weird spot where I was like, oh man, you don't know about the original Honu judo or Honu jiu-jitsu logo, but it had such similarities. I was like, this is awesome. The beach in the back spot, the Japanese flowers on the corner, everything was there. I was like, I love this. I love this.
Good.
So it was one of those things where I felt seen spiritually, right?
Cool, man. Good.
So it was a cool little thing.
And you gave great feedback, by the way. I really appreciate all that stuff. That was nice. Yeah.
So go ahead and talk about your adventures into becoming like a head of a club.
Ooh, it's the language is important to me, right? Being a head of a club. I think where I'm at, there's just so much learning I still need to do. I think what it came down to for me is language is important. I don't feel like the head of a club.
Right.
Like for me, I like to help be a facilitator for things that people are excited about. And I saw a void in Orange County that needed something like this. And so doing that was something that kind of encouraged me, right? And I was able to find the people, and I've lived in Orange County for a long time, so I have a lot of friends.
How long have you lived in Orange County?
And I grew up in Orange County, man. So moved out when I went to college, 4 years out. Lived in San Diego for 10 years.
Okay.
Right? My wife went to UCSD. I got an art degree from the Art Institute that was out here for a while. So we love San Diego, and then found ourselves back home, living in Huntington Beach. We've been there now 12 years.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's you. That's
you. Yeah, very much.
You're OC.
Yeah.
You're OC.
Well, we love the beach. My wife surfs every morning.
Nice.
That type of thing. So we love it. We love the vibe. So for me, it was. All I care about at the moment is I want a facility to learn, and we didn't necessarily have something like that consistently. So I'm just trying to build something more consistent so that I can learn from people like you and the wonderful group of people that you've had here, and like Kellyanne and Danny and all those dudes that can come by, and we're kind of like a nice middle ground.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Saying a head of a club, I don't know. I don't feel it yet. I don't feel it yet.
So it takes that big leap.
Yeah,
that big leap to be I want to start something, right?
Yes.
There's like you said, there's a void, and I care about this so much. Doesn't matter where you are. I started, it was me, Christina, and Mencken. We started the club because I sucked. Right?
I feel that.
I went out and I did a tournament. It was the 2020 US Open. It was in a club. It was in a little club during COVID. I went out and I lost every single match except for one, and I outweighed the guy by 20 pounds. Oh, so it was just one of those I was lacking fundamentals, and I was like, man, there's something here. There's something here. There's some dive and some areas of opportunity. And then it was during COVID. Mencken was in my bubble. I had access to a gym, and we trained every single day.
I love that.
We trained every single day. And then I went to my next tournament where there was like Justin Kizzard, a few other people. I ended up winning first there.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, let's keep it going.
Yeah.
We went to nationals. I ended up getting second. And so everything is moving in the right direction.
That's
and then
cool.
it pushed me into a national title.
Wow.
Right.
So when did you make the jump to being a coach? Because you're probably one of the best coaches that I've gotten to work with.
It was a need. It was a need, right? So when me and Christina and Minkin started the club, it was just us working, and I have my doors open, right? And we had a lot of jiu-jitsu people, judo people, some high school wrestlers, all kind of show up, and I teach jiu-jitsu, judo, about 6 days a week.
Okay.
So with that schedule, I have I call it like an OCD, right? There's something there, and I'm like, I gotta scratch it, right?
Sure.
And so I'll look at footage, and I'm like, okay, so this one translates over to here. Oh, how does this striking match? And I look at everything so that I can teach to anybody.
Got you.
Right?
Yeah.
And like a boxer, right? If you try to tell them, oh yeah, you can like slap the person, they won't understand. And then you're like, oh yeah, you can like, push them, they still don't understand.
He's telling me you can jab a person.
It's not quite just a jab, but it's a step jab.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah,
It's not just a jab, it's a step jab
Gotcha.
with an open hand. And then for them, they're like, okay, now follow up with a second one.
I
And
see.
then you can start teaching them Sapari.
Oh,
right?
okay. That makes sense. So you're basically adjusting to what their brain already knows.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really
So
cool.
I spend a lot of time doing that, and then like judo it's great because there's 67 throws of judo, and then from those 67 throws, you just have to translate those over to the kimarates. So the sumo winning techniques.
Gotcha.
Right. So each judo technique, there's almost 1-for-1 that translates over to sumo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
so then from there you just have to figure out the name, because the name changes a little bit, right?
Right,
So it'll be
right,
like
right.
major outside reap. This one's just big reap or whatever, right? Like the words are slightly different. It's still Japanese. It's still right there, and it's fun to just like bounce through that. And if you stay curious in trying to dive into any system, you'll end up getting deeper knowledge.
Yeah, for
and then you'll like I'm a great coach in jiu-jitsu. I think I'm a great coach in judo. And then I've tried to transfer that over to sumo.
Well,
I'm trying.
You're doing a good job, man.
I'm really trying.
Very much so. What you built here is really, really special. And I always try to find ways to get here for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can only hope that our club can get as close.
Oh, you will. I can feel that passion. I feel that passion.
Yeah,
speaking of passion, do you watch pro sumo?
I do. I mean, I'm still like, again, I haven't been watching too much. I'm just kind of getting into all of it.
Who's your guy?
Oh shit! You know
One
what?
guy,
I like
mine.
that the young kid that came through. I like watching.
Hakuho?
I think that
Takedo
was.
Fuji?
I don't know. He wore a blue Muashi.
My colors.
And he doesn't even have a top bun yet. He's like fresh as hell.
Oh,
And he got, like,
Onosato.
Yeah, dude.
Onosato.
I like these young kids coming through, right? Because it's like you can see the drive, you can see the care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're just so humble. They just want to do the best for their stable.
Yes.
And there's just an energy to those young kids that I'm just like, fuck yeah, man. Get in there, that no fear, that sumo spirit, that we always talk about. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, especially you come in there, you don't even got to chomage like the hair, right? You're just like, let's
I'm
go.
here. I'm the young buck, man. One of the best rookies that have come through. Over 100 years or whatever the time was, and I was like,
there's a full phase of them. Like you got Takano Fuji, you got Onosato, you got Hakuho, right? There's all of these guys that are just like relatively young in the game, and they are walking on water.
Yeah, totally.
They are literally walking on water.
I mean, the biggest thing for them is just managing injuries, right?
yeah.
Like, that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. I do like watching the grand sumo stuff because you start to realize that the game is very nuanced.
Yes.
Right. Like when you watch and you don't know anything, what tends to happen is you just think about a bunch of big dudes in diapers fucking smashing into each other. Don't say that.
Don't say that. We don't say the D word. Yeah. We do not say the D word.
Serious. I hear it all the damn time, and I'm like, all right, buddy. But regardless, that's what it looks like from the outside. But there is a large game happening on the inside,
yes,
and I think that's another thing that really drew me to sumo wrestling. That's what football is. Everybody thinks football is just like smash and go. It's like, no, there's a nuance to playing great football. Yeah. Especially on the offensive line.
Of course.
I played, right? And it's like a lot of that translates. It's just learning for body movement. My body's finally coming back to being like, oh shit, we know how we used to do this. Now let's do it again.
The transfer over lateral motion is amazing. Like there's a couple guys in the game that are really good with that, like Mark Jones, for instance, another Jones. He played football, and you can see his football, and he coaches football and understands that you need to move lateral. A lot of guys don't think about that, right? And the second they get moved lateral as a bigger guy, they end up getting tossed because they don't have that stability. Right?
For sure.
Another guy that moves like a freaking bumblebee, right? Like he's too big to be flying like that, and he can zigzag like a hummingbird. It's crazy. Is Mr. Galindo?
Oh yeah,
Jose Galindo.
He's fun to watch.
Like he's so fast. He's so fast. It's crazy. Oh man, we could talk forever. We can literally talk
to that point though. Like for me, one of the biggest things is just like getting my body back too. Right, I've only been doing sumo 2-ish months or something like that, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I'm like, my body needs to kind of recondition, feel this thing out, get back to, because it's just muscles I haven't used in 15 years.
Or so. We don't worry about time and age.
Time doesn't like even exist. So the goal is to sell you on sumo, huh? So, I mean, I guess if you're somebody that needs to challenge themselves, wants to get physical, tired of the mundane things, going to the gym, I think sumo is one of those things that allows us to test ourselves mentally and physically. I don't think there's a lot of opportunities as we get older to do stuff like that. So for me, I'd encourage people like you, if you're in that regards, like myself, I would encourage you guys to get out and try it out. You guys can find us at West Coast Sumo Club. westcoastsumoclub.com. You can go to our Instagram. We have a Facebook, things like that. Message me, and we'll kind of get you in there. It'll be fun.
Awesome, Mr. Jones.
Oh, anytime, brother. Ugh. Good seeing you.
Hell yeah.
And you.